So in this module, finally, we're going to start with JavaScript. As you know, JavaScript is a programming language. So we will use JavaScript a lot. Why? Because JavaScript allows us to manipulate the DOM, that means your HTML, and also the CSS. And that's what will make your website dynamic. That means they will be changed according to your need. Now, what do I have here? Well, simply, as you can see, I've just created an index.html. If you have any question during the explanation, please interrupt me and ask your question. So let me just get rid of this image. I don't need it. So I just have a template HTML. I've linked my CSS. As you can see, I also linked my JavaScript file, which is the index.js. That should be simple. Let's go to our index.js here. I don't need the HTML. And what I'm going to do here, I'm going to the Zoom mode, and I'm gonna just zoom in a little bit so you can see better. The first concept you need to understand in JavaScript is variables. Now we talk about the variables the weeks ago. Variables. We talk about variables a week ago. The last week here, but anyway, variables are super important in programming, not just in JavaScript, but in all programming languages. So what are variables? So they are just boxes to store values. So variables are just boxes. So if I go back now to my Xcali draw here, you can imagine a variable just like a box. Voila. If you want to change your house, you find a new house, you have a lot of stuff, a lot of books, a lot of stuff, you put them normally in boxes. And after that, of course, to know which one is which or what is what, well, you need to add a label. And that's simply a variable here, just a box, and we have a label on it. This label allows us to know what is inside this box. This label, it will be the variable name. So whatever we name this variable. Because variables are boxes, that means at any point, I can put something inside this box. And now this something could be a string, it could be any data type. It could be string, or it could be a number, it could be a Boolean, it could be null, it could be undefined, it could be an array, it could be an object. Any data type, I can store it inside a variable. And that's simply my variable. Again, I'm going to explain it again. A variable is just a box to store value. Of course, now we will see how can we declare variable in JavaScript. There is many ways to declare variable in JavaScript. But what's important for me is just you need to imagine the variable is just like a box. We use it to store values. Is the idea of variable is clear?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For everyone? Susanna?
Yes.
Good. Now, we know what is variable. We know we use variable to store data or to store value. So what I want to do now, I need to know how can we declare variable in JavaScript. Now, of course, depending on the programming language, declare a variable will differ. And declare a variable in Python is different from C, different from C++ or Java or whatever. But in JavaScript, there is 4 ways to declare a variable. Now, 2 ways you're never gonna use them, and 2 ways with constant let you need to use them all the time. So let's go to the first way. Now, the first way here is without using anything. So without using any keyword to declare a variable. So if I, for example, type here, age is equal to 20. Now, in JavaScript, surprisingly, in JavaScript, that's actually not wrong. So I can declare a variable just like in Python, as you can see, without any keyword. And now here to convince you, I can just log my variable here, age. And now if I go to my live server and I click on this one, I click go to the console, and as you can see, I have the value 20. Of course, here, as you can see, it's telling me here index.js 4, that's mean line 4. If I click on this one, it will tell me which line is responsible for doing this log. And as you can see, console.log age, I'm logging the age. But what's the problem with this way? This way, you're never gonna use it. But what's the problem with this way? Can anyone tell me what's the problem of variable? We declare just a variable without any keyword. And if you don't know, you can just guess.
Because maybe you cannot, it's not reusable like this.
But it's reusable. I just can use it. I've just logged it. It is reusable.
But it depends because
by default something considering, and if we declare, then we know it is what type of variable it is, and it we according to need we give any data type like this.
JavaScript, we don't care about the data type or anything. It's not about that.
Maybe it's because you cannot modify the value.
I can modify the value. Age is equal to 50. I can modify, it's not a problem. And if I go to my console, as you can see, I have 50 now. What's the problem here?
Because you try to apply a value, but the variable is not exist because it's not declared.
But actually it's declared as a variable is used because I don't have any error in my console. So because I don't have any errors, the variable is being created actually. The problem not with the variable here. There is another problem. Let me show you what's the problem. Let's go to my source. Let's create a new file and I will name it app.js. Now I have two JavaScript files, as you can see. So I need to link also this new file here inside my HTML. And in order to do so, I can just simply duplicate this one. And here, instead of source, I can now just add source.js, as you can see. Now, the problem is now, if I go to my app.js, notice what will happen. Let's try to log the age. Do I have age here? In this file here, or in this module? A module in JavaScript simply is file. Do I have age in this file or this module?
No, you don't have
No, but let's log it. Let's go to the first one here. I'm gonna get rid of this console.log so you'll not get confused. Let's go to app.js, and after that here, well, but I have it. It's being logged again. It's really strange, huh? Yes. I don't have age here. Where does the age come from?
Because by default, the variable is global.
Exactly, that's the problem. So the problem here is, let me get rid of this one. I don't need it. Let's go back to my index.html. Let's get rid of this one. So whenever we are declaring a variable in JavaScript without any keyword, this variable is a global variable now. What do I mean by global? That means I can access this variable in any file I created. So in any JavaScript file I create now, I can access this variable. Is that a good idea, or is that a good thing or bad thing? Is that a good thing?
Of course, it's a bad thing.
Why?
Because you
it's
don't want to
accessible
access
anyway.
all your variables from all the places.
So exactly. So the problem is now when I declare or I create a variable without any keyword, now here, if I go to my console and I type age, notice I have the age here. That means it's a global variable, just like console.log. So now console.log, I can use it in any file. Why I can use console.log, this function, in any file? Because it's a global function. And global function here, it's fine, it's good. Why? Because I can use it in any place. But the problem with the variable here is now I can no more use any other variable with the same name. Because if I create any other variable with the same name, I already have a global variable. And I will have a bug because I have a global variable age and I have a local variable age. So probably I will have a bug. That's not a good way. So you need to avoid using or declaring variables this way. Why? Because it creates a global variable. Global variable, that means it's in any file I create, now I can access it. And that's not a good thing when it comes to variables. Is the idea clear?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, now here, you may ask me a question, why I can use console.log in any file as well? Because it's a global function. So how could I know what are the global function and what are the global variable? All this global variable and global function is being stored in one object. And this object, we call it, it's the biggest object in JavaScript. And we call it window. So let me show you what's the window. If I go here to my console, and if I type window, voila, as you can see, click, and as you can see, I have a very, very, very big object. See? Well, of course, if I expand those, I have more, as you can see. So all of those, as you can see, they are global objects, they are global variables, they are global functions, stuff like that, as you can see. Voila. So anything inside this object, which we call it the window, even the document, by the way. So if I go here, I can find in my document. You know what's the document, right? What is the document? Can anyone tell me what's the document? That's the document here. What is the document? When I hover over the document, what happened? Look at the page. What's happening?
That is the body or the DOM?
It's not the body. No, it's my page here. It's my HTML here. So all my page is what we call the document. The document here is an object. It's also inside the window here. So simply, what is the window? The window is the biggest object in JavaScript, and anything inside the window here, it will be a global. Inside the window, we could have function. We have actually a lot of function. For example, here, alert is the function, as you can see. And we know it's a function because we have the letter F here, as you can see. We could have object inside it, and there will be global objects. That means we can access them in any file. And as you can see here, I have something inside the window. What do I have here? I have my variable which I create, which is age 15, as you can see. Is the idea clear? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anything inside this object here, it will be globally available. Globally available, that means I can use it in any files. Now with this function here, with these objects, that's okay because we can use them a lot. But when it comes to variables, no. Because now if I have a global variable age, that means, let's say by mistake, my colleague does not know that I created a global variable age 15, and he created a new variable called age. Now I will have a problem. I will have a bug because I have a global variable and I will have a local variable. One of them is going to override each other, and I will have a bug at the end. So we should try to avoid using a global variable in JavaScript. That's the point here. You should never use this way. Voila. So that's the first way here. We agree that's a really bad way to declare a variable. The second way here, by using the keyword var. Using var keyword. Now, of course, I can use var. As you can see, var age 15, I can log it. It will not create a global variable, no. So if I go here, I have 15. And if I search for the Windows, by the way, so just to make sure it's not a global variable, and I say .age, notice I will not have .age here. Actually, even with var, it's create a global variable, as you can see. So even with var, it's create a global variable, as you can see. So Windows.age, it's 15. Let's try to change the value here. Voila. Click it 100. And now if I go again and I try to find in the Windows, which is the biggest object, and I can say Windows here, and I search for my age variable, the age also exists. As you can see, it's 100. So even if I declare it without a keyword or I declare it using var, it will create a global variable for me. And as I told you, using global variable, it's a bad idea all the time. So you should avoid using var, and you should avoid using just declare a variable without any keyword here. Okay, so what are the alternative? How can we declare a variable in JavaScript? Well, lucky for us, after 2015 or ES, that's what we call ES6, it's just a new version of JavaScript. In 2015, now we have two keywords to declare a variable. As we see in here, when I create a variable without any keyword or with var, they will create a global variable for me. And as we agreed, global variables in general are bad. Simply because now if I have a global variable and I declare another variable with the same name, I will have a bug. So how can we avoid this stuff? Well, to avoid this stuff, we have another keywords being created, let and const. Voila. So let me get rid of this one. As I told you here, we're never gonna use this one here, okay? Those way, we're never gonna use it. So I'm gonna just remove it like that. And let's go to our let and const. Let and const, they are very similar. There are only one difference between the two. The difference is when I declare a variable with let, for example, let age here, I can just declare a variable. So that's what we call variable declaration. Variable declaration is just I'm telling JavaScript that this is a variable. With let, I can assign it, and by assign it mean give it a value, or I cannot assign it. It's up to me, really. It's fine with let. So when I'm using let here, I can declare my variable only, or I can declare my variable and assign it. That means give it a value. Is the idea clear?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's go here 100 and let's try now to search for the Windows. And let's see if it's a global variable or not. Now, if I say .age, notice I don't have the age. Voila. So it's not a global variable, as you can see. So I don't have age actually, which is a good thing here, as you can see. That's fine. So I've just declared a variable, as you can see, with age 100, and I'm logging this one. It's not a global variable, which is great. That means it's only available inside this file here. That's fine. That's okay. Now the last keyword here, it will be const. And with const, you need to be a little bit careful. Why? Because const come from constant. That means when I create the variable, I cannot change the value of the variable anymore. So let's try to say, for example, const. Let's get rid of this age here. And here, what I'm going to do here, I say const age, just age. I'm going to just declare my variable. So as you can see, my Visual Studio Code is giving me an error, as you can see. It's still const declaration must be initialized. So with const, when I declare a variable with const, I need to give it a value. And if I go to here, as you can see, I have an error, syntax error. Why? Because I'm declaring a constant variable. That means I need to give it a value. And when I give it a value, voila, now I cannot no more. I am not allowed anymore to use, for example, age is equal to 200. Why? If I do so, I will have an error assignment to a constant variable, as you can see. Is the idea clear?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
So from now on, to declare any variable in JavaScript, we'll use these two keywords, const and let. As a general note here, it will be a good practice, always use const unless you know that you need to change the value of your variable, then use let. Should be clear, right? Yes?
Yes.
For everyone? Okay, now let me show you something here. In JavaScript, we have something called strict mode. So what the hell is this strict mode? So if I open a string and I use strict like that, now it has a meaning for JavaScript, this use strict. So what is this? It's a mode actually in JavaScript. So what is this mode? Use strict help us to catch more error. What do I mean by that? If you remember, now in the beginning, I declare a variable, I say without any keyword, and I say age is equal to 20. And it was okay, there is no problem with that here, as you know. So if I log it, it's fine. If I go to my console, everything is fine. But now if I use strict, notice what will happen. Use strict. Now if I go to my console here, see, I have an error now. Reference error, age is not defined. So it's telling me you did not define the age, or you did not tell JavaScript that this is a variable. You are trying to log something undefined here. And that's what happened because I'm using the strict mode here, use strict. Can anyone tell me what is the advantage or what is use strict is doing? So if you notice, before using use strict, I was able to create a variable without any keyword here. But after using use strict, I am not allowed to do so. So the question is, what do you think use strict mode or strict mode is good for?
Just to make sure it doesn't become a a global variable, and make sure it's for security mode, to make sure it's still on mobile and specify your code or variable you want to create.
Okay, Manloy, what's the meaning of strict in English?
Strict is that it's been strict to be correct. You gotta do it everything correctly, positive.
No, Manloy, what is strict in?
To be like difficult, to be that you have to respect more
you have to respect some rule.
Yeah.
Or follow the rules.
Yes. So that's what use strict for. So use strict for here, it's a mode in JavaScript. It helps us to catch more error. Now, in reality, this one is not error, but in the future, we're creating global variable. I told you it's an error prone. That means it will create an error or it will create bug for my program. So this use strict here, it helped me to catch more error or more bugs. So it's better for my code to use strict. Use strict here, it will show you some stuff, even if they are not error in JavaScript, they show you as an error just to tell you that's not a good way to use JavaScript. Use another way. Is the idea clear? Yes?
Yeah.
No. So use strict. It must be the first line in your program. By the way, when you are using React or like that, React by default use strict mode, so you don't have to use strict. But now in JavaScript, vanilla JavaScript is by default does not use strict, so it's a good idea to put use strict for now until we get to modules. When we use export and import is by default using use strict, but now it's a good idea in our program always to put the first line use strict. It's just a mode help us to catch more error. It helps you to write better code, and it's very valuable, especially for beginner. Voila, that should be okay now, use strict, if I'm not mistaken. Yes.
Yeah.
So we
Yes.
know now how to declare a variable in Java. We know first what are variables in JavaScript. We know how to declare variables. We will never use var. We will never use a variable without declaration. All the time we will use const and let. You need to be careful, as I told you, with const and let. If you declare a variable with const, that's what you call declaration. If I say const age, I need to give it a value. If I don't give it a value, I will have an error because const it's just stand for constant. That means I cannot change the value after that. But with let, it's not a problem. With let, I can declare my variable, so let age, and I don't have to give it a value, assign it. I can just declare my variable only because later on in my program, I can change it. That should be okay, I think. Fine. Use strict, now we know what's use strict, that's great. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to just explain comment, how to create a comment in JavaScript. So of course, comment, as you can see all the time, I use double forward slash and I write something. That's what we call comment in JavaScript. So I can just say this is a comment. In JavaScript, there is two ways to write comments. We have inline here, or inline comment. Inline comment, that means I can just write inside one line. So if I go to the second line, the comment is over. I cannot use a comment again. If I want to create another comment, I need to choose double forward slash. There is another comment. So that's so inline because you have one line only. So if you have small comment and in your program and you want just to explain something for your colleagues, it's a good idea to use inline comment here. We have another way in JavaScript, or that's what we call the block comment. Block comment, just like CSS, forward slash asterisk, then asterisk forward slash. That's block level or block comment. So here I can have multiple lines. It's fine. And as you can see, the comment here in JavaScript here in my text editors are in green. So if I go here, JavaScript, ignore comment totally. The comment here is not for my computer. The comment here is for developer and for me to explain my code, simply like that. Is the idea of comment is clear in JavaScript?
Yes.
Yes.
You need to put in mind, too much comment is bad, too few comment also is bad. So you have to be between. So try to write a comment which if someone reads a sentence, everyone understands what you are trying to do. Try not to make them very long line or very long sentence. Try to make them short as possible and to the point. We will learn a lot about comment, don't worry, in our program in the future, but just to show you that what are comments. Okay, I'm going to explain here data type. I'm going to show you what data type, and after that we will go to study lenses, and I will teach you how to do today's task. And today's task, it will be to trace variables. Okay, let me just explain this one so I don't forget. So let's go here. Let's age it's equal to 20. So here, what I am doing here, I'm declaring a variable. So that's what's called variable declaration. And I'm assigning or initializing the variable. So that means I'm giving it a value. So I'm doing two steps in one line, as you can see. First, I'm declaring the variable. That's what we call variable declaration. And that's what we called, what are you doing outside? Come inside. Come. Okay, so that's variable declaration. I'm just saying this is a variable, and here that's a variable assignment here. So I assign a value to this variable. I've explained last week, that's not equality. It's not like math equality, that's assignment. I'll give you another example just to be very clear. That's not equality like math. In programming, we do not have this equality. It's just assignment. That means give this value or put this value inside this box, simply like that. But that doesn't mean age is equal to 13. Fine. So now here I'm declaring variable. So I'm just going to put a comment here, declare a variable. And I need to make it correct. So declare a variable. And here, that's what you call assign a variable. Let me just get rid of this one. And here I can just say assign a value to a variable, or assign a variable, simply like that. Also, we can read a variable. So when I use, for example, log, what I'm doing here, I'm just reading the variable here. So I'm telling my JavaScript, go to this box and give me the value. And here, console.log is going to just log this value, as you can see. I can also reassign the variable. What the reassignment mean? Well, simply mean I'm going to give a new value to my variable, as you can see. So that's what we call the read. We are reading the variable here. Read the value of the variable. Here, we are reassignment of variable, as you can see. Voila. So all of them should be clear here. We are just declare a variable here. We assign a value to my variable. We are reading the variable, or we are reading the value of the variable. And here we are reassigning the variable. Is all these keywords are clear or not?
Yes.
It should be simple, not a problem here. Let me explain quickly the data type, and then after that we can go to study lists. So data types in JavaScript. So in JavaScript, we have two categories of data type. As we seen before, we have something called primitive data type, and we have something called the reference or complex data type. Reference data type or complex data type, doesn't matter. Manloy, what's the meaning of primitive in English?
It's like original form.
Yes, but also, for example, primitive human. So
Like
primitive means simple, right?
Like the primal function.
Yeah, primitive. So let me show you what do I mean by primitive human. So primitive mean like the human lived in a cave before. It's not really like a current human. So he understands. So primitive human, let's see. So as you can see, that's primitive human, as you can see. They are very simple here, as you can see. That's primitive human, something like that. So primitive, it just means it's quite simple, not complex, old, something like that. And of course, now we have civilized humans. The civilized human is different from primitive human, as you can see. So primitive simply means simple data type. It just means simply simple data type, not complex data type like this one. These one are complex because, for example, arrays, as we see, and object can hold multiple values, but primitive data types, they can hold only one value. Okay, so primitive data types, that means simple data type. They're very, very simple. A reference or complex data types, that means they could be multiple, so multiple value. Okay, primitive data type, how many types do we have? Yes, Roman, do you have a question?
No,
We have
no.
numbers. So what I'm going to do here, first we have numbers. And as I told you, in JavaScript, we don't differ between integer and float number or floating point number. So in JavaScript, they're just numbers here. So I can just say, for example, let num is equal to 10, for example. That's what you call number. My number could be 10, what you call integer, or it could be a floating point number. It doesn't matter here. For us in JavaScript, numbers are just numbers. That's like that. We don't distinguish between integer, float, or complex, like in Python, for example, or like just float and integer in other programming language like Java or C or C++, or even C#. So we just have numbers. That's it. Okay, so first we have numbers. Second, we have string. So what are string? Well, string are array of characters. Again, if you notice what I'm saying, string is array of characters. So multiple characters, as you can see. And here, for example, I can just say let str, just a name, hello world. So as you can see, I have multiple characters. Each one of those is character. And it's array of character, it will be a string. So as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Space is character as well, empty space, WOR. So that's what you call string. In JavaScript, we can declare a string using single quote, as we've seen. So use single quote, or use double quote, or use backtick. We see the difference between those. So The difference is with single quote and double quote, there is no big difference between the two. You can use either, just like in Python. But backtick here, it's something very special. Why? Because backtick here, that's what you call template literal. It allows me to insert a variable dynamically inside my string. We have the same concept in C#. We have the same concept in Python using string formatter. But in JavaScript, it's just you need to use the $sign. So what do I mean by that? Well, let's try to say const. I'm going to declare a message here, variable, and I say hello, str, for example. Now, what will happen here, because I'm using template literal or backtick, as you can see, as I told you, I can insert a variable dynamically inside my string. So what I can do here, I can just say hello num, any variable I want to, voila. And if I go to my console, I log it and I go to my console, what's happening here is this variable is gonna replace by its value here. So it will say hello 10.2, as you can see. That's what you call template literal. It's the easiest way to use string actually, but also you can use single quote or double quote depending on your need. Is the idea clear?
Yes.
Yeah.
Great. So we've seen string. Let me comment string. We've seen number. Let me comment numbers here. The third primitive data type we have, it's a Boolean. A Boolean is very, very important data type because we can use it in loops, especially while loop, for loop, and also we can use it in conditional statement, if, else if, and also we use a lot Boolean. A Boolean could have two values only, either true or false. That's in JavaScript, true or false. Same for C#. Notice I always compare it with other programming language because when you learn this logic, this part here, this basic, it could be implemented in any other programming language. It's not specific for JavaScript. If you go to C# or C or any other programming language, you have variable, you have data type, same idea. There's no difference between the two. Simply like that. So for example, I can now declare a Boolean here. I can just say const is true, it's true, or maybe I can is male or is adult or something like that, whatever I want to. And the value here, it will be either true or false, something like that. And now here, of course, I can log my variable here. If I just type log, and I can log it, and now I can go to my console, and as you can see, I have true or false, depending on my need. So we've seen numbers, we've seen string, we've seen Boolean, and the fourth data type we have, it's undefined. Undefined is data type, and it is a value. What do I mean by that? Well, simply here, I can just say let name, it's equal to undefined. I'm allowed to give this value here. And here, if I log the name here, it will give me undefined because its value is undefined. It's the same, this one here, it's the same than just declaring a variable. It will be the same. Because when I declare a variable with JavaScript, its value by default, it will be undefined. Should be simple undefined as well. Then after that, we have null. Null, it has the same value as undefined, but the data type is different. For example, if I console.log null value like that, I just declare a variable null value. And if I log it and I go here, its value is null. Nulls mean nothing. So null, nothing, undefined also mean I did not give it a value. So basically these two values are the same. They are just nothing, but the data type for them is different because the type of null is, what type of null?
Object.
What type of object, indeed. So the type of null is an object, and type of undefined is undefined, as you can see. Voila, undefined. That should be okay for now. Let's go quickly through. Of course, for reference type, we have three types. We have function, we have arrays, we have object. We'll go quickly through them as well, although we're not gonna study it today, but it will be a good idea just to go through them quickly. So first I have objects. So what are objects? Well, objects simply here, it is just an order list. And notice the word is very important. So an order list, for example, I can just say const person. And as we know, person could have a name, it could have an age, it could have profession. You can add as property as much as you want to, it's fine. What's important in object, as you can see, to declare an object, it's just like creating any other variable. You can use const or let. You can use let if you want to change the value here. So person, you can change this object with another object. It's equal to curly brace, as you can see. So it's not square bracket, it's curly brace. And here I need key value, key value, key value. The key and the value are separated by colon, and the key, both key and value is separated from the other key and value using comma. I mean, that's the syntax here. You don't need to use the last one here because we don't need it, so it's not important. But of course, if I'm gonna add another property like that, it's important to know that I need to add a comma. Of course, inside the object, I can add object, I can add array, I can add whatever I want. It's fine. I'm not gonna make it complex, I'm gonna make it very simple. What's important here is the object, it's an order list. That's mean here, if I move this guy name, now it's at the top. If I move it to down, there's no difference because object does not depend on the order. To access anything inside my object, simply I can use a dot operator, as I told you, so I can call console.log person. If I go to my console, as you can see, click on this one, now I have age 13, name is John, and of course it's object. If I want to access any value inside my object, I can use dot, and here, as you can see, my VS Code, it gave me two stuff here, as you can see, age and name. Do you see this guy here, this blue stuff?
Yeah.
You see this blue box? Now, this blue box has a meaning. What do I mean by that? Let me show you what do I mean by that. If I go here, so just to, I don't have an error. So if I say console, just console dot, notice I don't have the same. So the other one was blue. This one here, it's purple. It's purple box. What's the difference between the two? So what's the difference between the blue one and the purple box here?
Is a number.
No.
The method.
Yes, exactly. So the purple one, that means it's a function. That means when I say log, I need to add parentheses here. Voila. Simply like that. And now I can put something. It's just a function. And here I can just console.log anything I want to, for example. Voila. As you can see. But the blue one here, it's not a function, it's a property. A property means it's just a value, it's like a variable. So I will say just dot age, and I cannot use the parentheses like that because it's not a function, it's not a method, it's just a property. Voila. If I do so, now as you can see, I have age 13, as you can see. Do we know now the difference between property and function or not?
Yeah.
No? Let me make it even simpler. Now, of course, in my object, I can have anything I want to. I can have another object inside my object. I can have function inside it. I can have an array. I can have number. I can whatever data type I can. So let's create a new function here. And my function here, I can just say hello, or say hello because it's a function. So I will start with verb, say hello, and here, of course, I need my colon. And here, as you can see, what I did here, I just created a function here. So this value is a value of this property, say hello. It's a function, as you can see. And what this function is going to do, it's just going to log hello. Now notice here what's happened when I try to access this property. So when I say console.log person dot, notice now, say hello. It shouldn't be like that, actually. It's a property, but anyway, if I do so here, it's not going to show me because it just read it as a property. Let me try to get rid of this one and see if that will work. Clicking. Voila. So as you can see, the color is different actually. Why? Because my function here, although it has no name, so let's give it a name. Let's say hello. But I don't think this syntax, I cannot use it in an object because in object, as you can see, I need key and value. Let me get rid of it. It's fine. Let me get rid of it this way. So if I click on this one here, notice I have different color here. So this is a purple one because it's a function, as you can see. And a function, I need parentheses to execute it. But these two blues, they are just properties. They are not function. Do we understand now the difference between property and a function or a method? Yes or no?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. So whenever you see something purple, you say dot, you see something purple, that's mean it's a method or it's a function. For now, method and function are the same. There is difference between them, but for now, just understand it, method or function are the same for now. Okay. Now I know which one is property, which is the function. That should be simple. So if I console.log again, person dot, as you can see, both of those are property. So I can just use .age and it will give me the value I want to, as you can see. Voila. But if I type here, for example, let's try to console, or not confirm, let's try to use console. And if I say dot, notice I have all this function inside the console here. All this function, log, error, warn, blah, 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 blah. So let me use, for example, clear, console.clear. And because it's a function or a method, I need parentheses. I need to use parentheses. If I don't use the parentheses, it will not work because the function, I need to call the function. And while a console.clear, and what's going to do here, it's going to clear my console. We know that clear or log, it's a function. So what do you think a console is? What data type is a console? What data type is a console?
Object.
Indeed, indeed, it is an object. Yes. So to convince you, let's go here and let's type console. And if I type console here, notice it's an object. And inside this object, I have all this function. How could I know it's a function? So voila, click see here, it's F. So it's a function, as you can see. And of course, the console is a global object. It exists in the Windows. And because it exists in the Windows, I don't have to type windows.console because Windows is the biggest object. I just have to type console. So console, as you can see, it's an object, just like in Java or in C#, I have an object. And inside this object, I have a lot of function. And whenever I want to use any function, I will call my function, call my objects and dot the function I want to. For example, here, let's try to use console.assert. So let's try to, let's say console dot assert, and you don't know what assert for now is. So assert, what's going to do here, I can put something here inside my assert. For example, 1 is 1. That means that if I compare, so I have double equality here. Notice
Equal.
is not,
Double equality equal.
yeah, but that is actually comparison. I'm comparing 1 with 1. So comparison mean is 1 is the same value as 1. If it's yes, it will give me true. If it's not, it will give me false. And here I can pass a second parameter, which will be just a string. So it's here I'm passing comparison. I'm trying to compare two variables here. And here, this is optional. I can just write any message I want to. What I'm trying to say here, I'm saying 1 is not equal to 1. But actually, not equal, it will be like that. Voila. So here, not equality is exclamation mark, just so you can see, because my VS Code just adds them together. So here, exclamation mark and equal, both of them, that means not equality. So that's what I'm saying here. 1 is not equal to 1. So if I go here, see, assertion failed. Why it's failed? Because I'm saying 1 is not equal to 1, but in reality, 1 is equal to 1. So this assertion, I will say it in my console only if it failed. Why the assertion will fail here? Why is this assertion was gonna fail here?
Because 1 is equal to 1.
And indeed, so if I say 1 is equal to 1 now, I don't have any, so it will pass. Voila. So the console.assertion here, it will just take this guy here and it will try to compare them. If it's true, it will print nothing. It's okay, it will pass. But if there is something not wrong, so this one give me false for some reason. If it give me false, then I will see the message here. For example, I say 1 is not equal, or for example, 1 is equal to 5. We know that 1 is not equal to 5. So what's going on to happen here, this assertion is gonna fail. Assertion is just mean trying to check something. So I'm trying to check if 1 is equal to 5. Of course, it's false. Because it's false now, as you can see, I will see assertion. As you can see. Why assertion is failed? Because simply 1 is not equal to 5. I'm saying 1 is equal to 5. And here I can see my message. Of course, this message, I need to change it here. I'm saying here 1 is equal to 5. This is just a message for me, just to know which assertion, because when I have a lot of assertion, I don't know it's coming from which one. So this message is just for me. So in my assertion failed, why? Because 1 is equal to 5. No, 1 is not equal to 5. So this is false. It is not important because we're going to study console.assert a lot. I'm just trying to show you that the console is an object. And inside this object, we have a lot of function. And this function or method here, as you can see, we can use it. Is the idea clear? Yes?
Yes.
Let's take an example array, and we can just here. So I can just say const names, and here John Doe. As you can see, I can add multiple names here. The array is quite simpler actually. I need to add values and comma, values and comma, values and comma. As this value does not have to be the same type. So I could have a string, I could have a number, I could have a Boolean. So true, for example, is a Boolean. I could have null, I could have undefined, I could have an object even if inside my array. It's okay. I can have anything I want to inside my array. It is fine. So that's what we call data type. In JavaScript, that's a different data type. We have a primitive data type and we have complex data type. Is the idea clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Great, great. Let me write some code, and after that, I'm going to show you something. So let's say that the const. I can just say num. It's equal to 10. And here, what I'm going to do here, also, I'm going to declare an object here or an array. It doesn't matter really. So I can just say person. It's equal to John name age 13. Now, of course, this is a different data type. This is a primitive data type, and this is complex or reference data type. You may tell me why they are these ways. What's the difference? Why number are just simple or primitive data type, and why the object here is a complex data type? Well, you don't have to know a lot about this one. I mean, if you are studying C, it will be quite complex, important for you to know a lot of stuff, but you need to understand the memory in JavaScript or in all programming language, but in JavaScript it's quite simple because simply JavaScript is creating a variable in the stack and in the heap automatically for you. In C, it's not the case. The program here, the C compiler creates a variable in the stack, and the programmer need to allocate. Allocate, that means take some space and create variable in the heap. You don't have to worry about that. What's important here for you to know is that the memory is divided in two important parts. Of course, it's more than two, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parts, but for you, that's not important. For you in JavaScript here, you need to understand that the memory is, there's two parts of the memory. We have what we call the stack, and we have what we call the heap. What's the difference between the two? Well, the JavaScript engine can access the variable in the stack quite quickly. So the stack here, any variable in the stack, the JavaScript engine can access it, or JavaScript thread can access it very easily and in relatively in short time. That's in the stack. The problem is the stack does not have a lot of memory. So that's the reason why we cannot create all our variable in the stack, because the stack has limited size. It's, if I compare it to the heap has more size, and I can store reference data type in the heap. And in the stack, I can store primitive data type. So in JavaScript, it's this way. The primitive data type are stored in the stack, and the reference data type are stored in the heap. So we distinguish between them because the location of the memory, the primitive and the reference or complex data types are stored is different. That's the reason why primitive data type, their size is very small comparing to the complex data type. And as I told you, it's easy for JavaScript to access the variable in the stack. The problem here, the size of the stack is quite small comparing to the heap. Is what I'm saying is okay or not? I'm going to repeat it. So in memory, what you need to understand in JavaScript, you have two parts of the memory. We have what you call the heap. We have what you call the stack. The stack for JavaScript, it's easy to access the stack. So if I have any variable in the stack, JavaScript, it will access this variable quite quickly comparing to the heap. But the problem is the size of the stack is not huge. The size of the heap is huge comparing to the stack. So the stack it has a smaller size comparing to the heap. And you need to understand that all primitive data types, they are stored in the stack. Because primitive data types, they have a small size. And all the reference or complex data types, so whenever you create an object or array or a function, they are stored in the heap. Is the idea clear? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. So let me show you what do I mean. So let me click here. We have something called code visualizer. So it's a text editor. We will have it in study licenses. It allows me to work with Python, JavaScript, C, C++, Java. So let's go to JavaScript. Now, what this guy is doing, so I can copy my code here. Let me copy my code here, put it in here, voila. And as you can see, it's telling me ES6. ES6, that means it's the new JavaScript. The new JavaScript, that means it's after 2015. Before 2015, we have one version of JavaScript. After 2015, we have a huge change. And const and let, by the way, they are part of ES6. That means we know them after 2015. But anyways, that's not my point. Notice what will happen. If I'm trying to visualize the execution, notice what will happen here. So now I can go line by line through my code. So let's try to say next. Click. So as you can see here now, here in the memory, I've created a variable here. So say global. Ignore global frame. We just create a variable, and the name of the variable is num, and the value of this variable is 10. Now notice num here is a primitive data type, and here actually that's a stack actually. Now notice what will happen when I go through my object. So click, voila, I have something strange here, right? Can anyone explain what is that? Just like when I explain the difference between the stack and the heap, and I go back to here, I have something strange here. Can anyone explain that? To make it simple, these two different locations in the memory. So I told you the primitive data types, they are stored in one location, and the complex or reference data types are stored in another location. So what will be this one? What is this one? Come on, guys.
Stack? No.
Of course, yes, of course it's a stack. Because as you can see, the primitive data types are being stored in the stack. Okay, so that's the reference data type. It's an object. It's being stored in another place, as you can see. So what will be this one?
Heap.
It will be the heap, simply like that. So my point of showing you this example, just to see that the primitive data type and the reference data types, they are not stored in the same location in the memory. One of them is stored in the stack here, and one of them stored in the heap. Voila. But of course, in the stack, now when JavaScript go to the stack, it try to find a variable here. We have a person here variable, as you can see. We have a person variable. Its value is not stored here, but what is stored is an arrow. What is this arrow for?
Thanks.
Yeah, what do we call? Again?
Arrow is a where we point the location of that
Exactly, it's a pointer.
object.
It's a pointer. So what is stored here is just the address of this variable. So whenever, for example, I go, for example, so whenever JavaScript go to the stack here, okay, num is 10, it can access it, it can use it, it's fine. But when you search for person, it cannot find the person because simply that's a stack. So the person here is an object, is not stored in this location, but what is stored here is the address of the variable. What do I mean by that? Well, here is telling JavaScript here, okay, if you want to access this variable, that's the address. Go to this location and you will find it. So JavaScript engine or JavaScript thread, it will go now to the heap and it try to find it. So what's stored here in the stack is just the address. Voila. Simply the address. It's just telling you, okay, if you want this variable is stored in this place. Simply like that. So in the stack, we store only primitive data type and also the address of complex data types. The address is just a way of telling JavaScript, okay, you want this variable is stored in this place in the heap. Simply like that. Is the idea clear? Yes or no? Do not worry about the address a lot. Is the address like just normal address here? For example, if I come to, if I go to the post office, or if I ask you for address of a friend, you tell me that his address. For example, he's living in this street, he's living in Bruges, for example, or he's living in Antwerp, for example, and that's the street, and that's the building number, and his flat is number, something like that. So that's the address simply. So what's happening here in the stack here, we are storing the primitive data type and also the address of the complex type. So the complex type does not exist in the same place as a primitive data types, at different location in the memory. Simply like that. Yes?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
I think I've explained everything here. If I'm not mistaken, I've explained data type, I've explained variable, I've explained everything, so that should be okay. I've explained use strict, I've explained comment. So what do we need to do now? First, this Python tutor, you have it already in study lenses, so don't worry, you can use it here because it's very useful actually. We know now is we have, at least in JavaScript, we have two parts of the memory. We have what you call the stack, and we have the heap. And stack here, it's the size is limited. It's not like the heap. The heap is size comparing to the stack, it's huge. The stack is smaller in size, and in the stack we store the primitive data type and also the address of complex data type. In the heap we store the complex data type or reference data type. That should be simple as well. Click on this one. Click on this one. I don't need it anymore. Let's go to this our VS Code here, and I'm gonna get rid of this one. Click. Voila. So what do we need to do here? Well, what we need to do here first, we need to go to our repo here, which is near repo, which is BF welcome to JS. You need to fork this repo. So what does forking mean? A fork means have your own copy on your own GitHub account. Why do you need your own copy? Because we have some exercises, a lot of exercises, you need to solve them. So I will not, of course, because this repo does not belong to you, you cannot just add code like that. You need to have your own copy. So how can I have my own copy? Well, it's very simple. All I have to do, I just need to click on fork. And where I want to fork it here, I need to choose the owner, for example. I already have it, so I cannot fork it again because I already forked it. So you will choose your name, your GitHub account, and then just create fork. And after that, you will have your own copy. If I go to my profile here, click on this one and type welcome to JS. Welcome. So as you can see, I have my own copy now. So that is my fork. That's my own copy. I can add, I can delete, I can do whatever I want. Why? Because it's my own copy, as you can see. That's my GitHub account, and then that's my fork here. That's my copy. And that's what you need to do as well. Why? Because as I told you, there is some exercise you need to solve, so you need to have your own copy. And be careful when you clone, you need to clone your own copy here. Do not go and try to clone the original one. You don't have authority. You are not part of the organization here. So if you just go here and clone this one, it will not work because simply this is not your repo. Is what I'm saying is okay. So first, again, I'm gonna repeat it. You will go to your repo. There's a repo here, BF welcome to JS. Of course, if you go to your organization, let's go again to the organization here. If you go to your organization, click, you go to home. We have our module, which is the fourth module currently, which is welcome to JS. You click on the module. Voila, that's the module. So you need to fork it. In order to fork it, I need just to click on this one. I choose the owner. It must be on your own GitHub account. And voila, now you have your own fork. After you have your own fork, which will be on your own GitHub account again, so you don't make any mistake. Voila. Then you're gonna clone this guy here. Voila. And you will have your own copy. Now, of course, I've cloned already, so that's my own copy here. That's my own fork here. So what I am going to do here, so when you are inside your repo, the first thing you need to understand is you need a study licenses to study this program or this module and next module as well. So we need study licenses. So what is study licenses? Well, if I go to NPM, so if I type NPM, click. So in NPM, you already know it's Node Package Manager. And if I type study licenses, click. Let's try to search it. And that's study licenses. So study licenses is just a package, as you can see. It's a package. It will help us to study JavaScript in many different ways. It will make it easy for you to learn JavaScript. So voila. So what do I need to study or to install this package here? Well, we need a Node version, as I told you, which will be 15.14 or less. I've already told you to install NVM. So NVM is Node Version Manager. And if you type -- version, you already have it. So what you need to do here, you need to check your Node version. So Node -v. Now the version I am using, it's 15.14. That's good. That's the version we need. If you are using another version, all you have to do, you can just say NVM, use the version you want. So the version I want, it's 15.14, like that. So let me try to change it to 22. I don't know if I have busy version or not. Voila. So currently I am using version 22. Node -v. I have the version 22. Now I want to use the version 15.14 because this version will allow me to install study instances. All I have to do just nvm use, and I can put the version I want to, which will be 15.14.0. If I click, well, as you can see now, I'm using this version. So all the time, check the node version. If the version is not 15, you cannot use study instances. After I install this, after I am sure I'm using the node version, this one, which is 15.14.0, I can now install study instances. Now, we've learned before that there is two types of packages. So if I go to package.json, I have dependency and I have div dependency. So I told you that dependency here, it means that when I push my code to production, I need these packages. Div dependency means that I need to this package only while I am coding. When I push it to production, I don't need these ones. That's the reason why we call it div dependency, because it's only during the development. Actually, there is a third type of package here. So not only dependency or div dependency, but we have also global package. What do I mean by global package? That means sometimes we have a package, we need to be able to access it everywhere, not just in our repo here, everywhere. So how can we install this global package? Well, to install the global package is super simple. I can just say npm I for install. And if you remember, if I want to make a div dependency, I say minus how much? What was minus what to make it div dependency? So to make it dependency is simple. npm I and the name of the package. That should be simple, dependency. Div dependency, it will be npm I minus, what is the flag? What is the flag? You forget it already, capital D. So capital D here, it will install it as a div dependency. But if I want to install it globally, I will say minus G for globally. Study minus G, it's lowercase, not uppercase. Come on. Minus G study instances. So that's the command here. And if I type here, it will install study instances globally for me. Now I can use study instances in everywhere in my program because I install it as a global package here, as you can see. So the flag minus G, it will install the package for you globally. And now it's a good idea to install study instances globally because now you can use it in any place, not just in this repo here. So how can I check if I install this package globally or not? It's quite simple. I can just say npm minus G, that means globally, ls, that means list all the global package. And if I see, as you can see, I have study instances. Voila. So I have study instances globally. That means I can now, I can just use this package in anywhere in my PC because I install it as a global package. Is what I'm saying is okay or not? Yes?
Yes.
So we have different type of packages. So to install the packages, we have different type of package. As I told you, we have dependency. To install dependency, all I have to do just npm I or installs the name of the package. To install it as a div dependency, npm I minus D capital for dependency or div dependency and the name of the package. But also we can install the package globally, and globally they have advantages. What's the advantage? Now I can use study instances not in just this repo. I can use it any place I want to. Some packages important to make them global because we need to access them all the time. So it's not smart just to install them inside just like that here, just as a dependency. Because now here, if I install it as a dependency, that means I can use it only inside my repo. But if I install it globally, I can access it everywhere or anywhere in my device. So the command is just npm I minus G study instances. And you can install it globally. That's fine. After I have study instances, now the command is just instances like that. I just need to type instances 2. So instances, just like this one, instances 2, click, and now it will open my repo inside this server here. So let's get rid of everything here. And now let's go to, so that's my repo, by the way. It's just my repo, or just open it in a server here. So let's click on the lesson plan. Let's go to readme.md. And as you can see, we have 3 weeks. So week 1, we will study computer and developer and dev tools. DevTools is super important. If you really want to understand JavaScript, you need to learn very well DevTools. And then we'll have second week error and bugs. What's the difference between an error and bug? How can we fix them? Also, we need to understand how can we write code and how can we review code. And week 3 here, we need to be able to build a calculator, which will be our project. Let's go to first week and computer and developer here. So I just need to close this one. And now let's go to computer and developer. If I click on this arrow, I have tracing variable. So first week, it will be simple. You'll only be able to trace variable in JavaScript. So let's click on trace variable and we have example. We will go through it together. And we have exercises. Now you need to do the exercises. So you need to add your solutions. That's the reason I want to ask you to create your own fork. And also here, you need to write your own example. On your example, it will be for string, number, Boolean, null, and undefined. So it's primitive data type. So it's simple. Let's go to the example. Let's go to example 1. When I click on this one, as you can see, I have a new text editor. Okay, what's special about this new text editor? Well, what's special here is, first, I can maximize it and minimize it just like VS Code. If you are using Mac, you can use Command minus or Command plus to make it to zoom in or zoom out. It's the same. You can save your work. So remember something, if I type some stuff here and I did not do save change, it will not save your changes. Okay, so I need to use save changes if I want to save my program. We also have 2 modes. We have light and dark for the editor. We have minimap, and minimap here, it will allow you to scroll quickly if that's what you want to. I don't like minimap, but anyway. Reset, for example, if I add some code like that, and now I want to come back to the previous state, just click reset and voila, it's gone. Format here, if I have some code which is not formatted, for example, I can just say const age, it's equal to 30. And let's say my code is not formatted. So for some reason, I have this code like that. If I click on format, as you can see, it will format my code. That's for now. Highlight, I'll show you what's highlight, pseudocode, variables, and blanks, all of that. But what's important here, if I click, notice, do not click on the black area here. If I click on this area, click, and also I can inspect here. And as you can see, I am inside my DevTools here. So if I click on run here, it will run my program. So run, it will run my program simply. Of course, now currently I don't have anything. I just have comment, as you can see. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to just type console.log so we can run, so we can have some code at least. IH. And if I click on run, notice, now it will run my program, as you can see. Voila. We have trace, we will see all this functionality, I'll see. But if you remember, I use Python tutor here, this guy here, so code visualizer. And I told you it's quite nice. Also, we have this code visualizer inside our code. So as you can see here, I can open in GSTutor. So if I want to open in GSTutor, click, and it will open my code, as you can see in GSTutor here. I just need to expand it a little bit. And as you can see, I have my GSTutor here. Of course, I don't have any code here because as you can see, it's all comment only. But if I have a code here, I will be able to go step through my code. Yeah, that's for now should be enough here. So for these examples, I'm trying to just to show you that we have different type of comment in JavaScript. We have a line comment here, which is // and we have a block level comment here. And as you can see, /***//, and I can have multiple line comment. That should be simple. We just explain it in the first, just like few minutes ago or half an hour ago. Whatever. Is the comment in JavaScript are clear? Yes.
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 Great.
Yeah.
Great. Let's go to the second one, console.log. So if I click on this one, of course, if you notice here all the time, you have some notes here. It's a good idea to run to read this note here. So console.log is a console.log where you are displaying information in the console. So it's a very simple way to debug and also to show. So if I have any data and I want to see this data, I can just console.log in. Again, I'm going to click on this one. I'm going to inspect. And I'm going to the console here, as you can see. And notice what is going on here. They are saying console.log empty string. So what is going to log here? If I say console.log empty string, what's going to log here? What is going to log? an empty string, nothing actually. So here, if I run, as you can see here, here's just empty string, nothing here, as you can see, because it's empty string, nothing is inside it. Console.log number, you can console.log string, you can console.log string, and also you can, what's interesting about console.log, you can pass multiple values. So for example, I can log this string hack, and if I want to log something else, I can add a comma, so it accepts multiple argument. If I want to log multiple stuff, I can. Hack is one string, comma, but I need to separate them with comma. Comma, your, comma, future. And if I log it again, as you can see now, it say hack your future, which is 3 string actually. That's string 1, that's string 2, that's string 3. And I can add more if I want to, by the way. I can add a number, for example, like that. And if I run, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, I can add, pass multiple argument here. It really depend on me. I was going to do it, just gonna log this data I am passing to the console. Is console.log is clear?
Yes.
Should be simple. Click. We have strict mode. I've also explained the strict mode for you. So the strict mode simply, it's a mode in JavaScript. You need to make it the first line. So the first line, you need to add in a string, use strict. That's the rule here. You cannot make it second or third. You cannot try something before it. It does not work this way. So strict mode must be the first line in your script here or in your file. Strict mode help us to catch more errors, simply more mistakes. It's very good for, actually it's very good all the time to use strict mode, because like that, it prevents us from making mistakes or error prone code or bug prone code. That's mean, it just helps us to catch more errors. That should be simple if I'm not mistaken as well. Yes?
Yes.
Good. After that, we have variables, and variables, as I told you, they are just boxes to store value. And of course, here it's explained, you can read that in detail. It will tell you that there is declare a variable and initialize variable. I told you, declare a variable simply. To declare a variable, I can either use const or let. And let name, for example, that here I'm declaring the variable. If I want to declare the variable and initialize it, that means give it a value, I can just name it Jack, for example. I can read the variable. Oh, sorry, I should be outside. I can read the variable. For example, if I'm using the variables, that means I'm reading the variable. I can reassign the variable, especially, of course, when I'm using the keyword let, not const, because with const I cannot. And here I can just type John, for example. I'm allowed to do so. So that's just reassigning the variable simply. So let's go here. We have declare and initialize the variable. That should be simple.
Sam, I don't hear you.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So declare a variable, just say let x, just let x that we are declaring as a variable. Initialize a variable, that means we give it a value, simply like that. Read the variable. Now I am reading the variable here. When I log something, when I'm using the variable, I'm reading the value of the variable. Assign or reassign, that means give a new value to my variable. As you can see, x is equal to goodbye. I'm assigning my variable, but here I'm changing the value of x. So I'm saying, give me whatever inside this variable is this string, and add concatenate, because both of them are string, as you can see. Concatenate or add exclamation mark and the end, and after that reassign it to x. That should be simple actually. So let's inspect it. Let's click on this one. What's interesting also, if I click on option here, I have a lot of other stuff here, and I can check debug. If I check debug, now I will be allowed to debug my code at any point I want to. So if I click on debug, voila, as you can see, and now I am inside the debug mode. And now I can go line by line through my code, just like in GS Tutor. So as you know, this is the step. So there's a step button here. I can click on it, and it will take me, as you can see, to the first line, because all of those are comments. So JavaScript's gonna ignore them. So what I'm doing here at this line, what I am doing, I'm declaring a variable x. So as you can declare a variable name x, and I'm initializing it to the value hello. And inside the scope here, if you notice, I have the x, but still is a value is unavailable. Why is the variable is not available? Why x here, it has no value? Why x, it has no value? I explained before. Why x has no value? Catherine?
Because when you cross the semicolon and finish that statement, then it goes to the step, and the after that initialization will execute.
Because simply I did not execute this code yet. So when I go now next step, then I will execute it. As you can see now, I have the value hello inside X. So I was not executing this line. Here I'm not executing the line yet. So it stopped at the line. It is not executing it yet. So if I want to execute it, I'll just next line. So I have a variable, as you can see, also inside the scope here, X is equal to hello. If I click here now, Y, it's equal to 3.14. I've used the keyword let here. I'm using the keyword const. When I'm using const, that means I cannot reassign this variable. I cannot give a new value to Y because I use the keyword const. Now I'm console.log in X, that means I'm reading the value of X, which is okay. If I go to the console now, as you can see, it's telling me hello because that's the value of the X. I'm trying to read the value of Y, same idea. If I go to the console 3.14, that's okay. I'm trying now to assign or reassign the value of X. So what was the value of X before? It was hello. Now I am changing this value and I'm allowed to do so. Why? Because I'm declaring X with the keyword let. That means I'm allowed to change or reassign the value. So now I say X is equal to goodbye. And here, notice if I execute this code, now the value of X has been changed. And I'm reading the value of X again. Of course, now it will be goodbye. Why? Because what is the last value? The last value is goodbye. That means in my program here, if I log it here, it will give me goodbye. And if I click on that and I go to the console, voila, goodbye, as you can see. Now, I want also to reassign the value of X. So as I told you, this sign here is not equality, it's assignment. I'm saying, give me the value of X, which is goodbye, and then plus the exclamation mark. So what's happening here, both of them here, it will be hello or goodbye, goodbye, and exclamation mark. That will be the new string. And then I'm assigning it to the X again. Now, if I log X, what will be the value? If I log X, what will be the value? Goodbye with exclamation mark.
Good. Yeah.
Voila. Is the idea clear?
Yes.
Okay. I will explain this one again one more time. Now, in math, if I say X is equal to X plus 20, that's not correct. That's wrong. Why? Because X here is any value in math. So if I try to replace the X with 2, for example, you can replace it with any value. I will replace it with 2. So that means 2 is equal to 2 plus 20. And of course, that's not correct because 2 plus 20 is 22. And I'm saying 2 is equal to 22. In math, that's not correct. In programming, it is. Because in programming, this sign is not equality. It's just an assignment. What do I mean by that? Well, in programming, first, the right side is being evaluated. What do I mean by that? I'm just saying, let's say X here in my program, X is 10. And here I'm gonna just use let. Let's X is equal to 10. So this way, and when I'm writing this one here, it's my way of saying, give me the current value of X. What is the current value of X? It's 10. Add 20 to it, and then the new value, reassign it to X. That's simply what I'm saying. Is the idea clear?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. That should be okay. And let me just open my dev tools here. As I told you before, in JavaScript, I can add, so the plus sign has a double usage, it's not just one use. For example, if I say 10 plus 5, both of them are numbers, that will give me, as you can see, 15. So it will be normal addition in math. But if one of these operand, this one or this one is a string, what JavaScript is going to do, it will automatically convert the other one to string as well. Now, in other programming language, like in Python, it will give you an error because you cannot add string. For example, I can just say hello plus 5. If I try to do that in Python, it will give me an error. Why? Because I'm trying to add 2 different data types. So what I need to do here, I need to convert one of them. So I need to convert this one to a string in order to add, to make this operation work, for example, in Python or in any other programming language. But in JavaScript, it's a little bit smart, which is good thing and bad thing at the same time. What do I mean by that? Well, JavaScript just checks the both value. If one of them is string, it will automatically convert the second one to string. And as you can see now, it's concatenating them. Concatenation means it will just add them, make them one string. That's concatenation. So the plus sign has double usage. If both the operand are numbers, it will just add them. If one of them is string, JavaScript is going to convert the second one to string automatically. And of course, that's a good thing for now, but it's bad thing in another way. Why? For example, let's say I have the number 10. Let's say the user here has 100 euro in his wallet here in my website. And by some mistake, I pass a stringy number here. So let's say I add another 100. So the value, it was 100 euro, and the user add another 100. So now the value on the user account should be 200. But for some reason, I just add it as a stringy number, and notice now how much the user has. So the user has now 100,000. And of course, that's not correct, as you can see. So this conversion, which was called implicit coercion or implicit, what JavaScript is going to do here is just converting this one to string as well. Sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing. In other programming language, you cannot do that. You need to convert this one to a string. But in JavaScript automatically converts it for you. So you need to be careful. You need to be very, very careful when you're adding this addition here. Because sometimes, as you can see here, if the user has 100 euro account in his account and he had another 100, and for some reason I did not convert this one to a number, now his account, it will have 100,000, and that's absolutely not correct. Is it clear? Yes? Yeah. Okay. We've explained these ones. That should be okay. Of course, string, you already know string here. You can read this one. I've explained string a lot. If you want to have multiple line string, you need to use backtick, as you know, or template literal. I've explained all of that, as well as you can see here in template literal. I can insert variable dynamically inside my string. So that should be simple for you. Of course, you need to read all of that. So all of that is very important. I've explained everything, but read it, go through this example step by step here. Should be simple. Boolean should be simple here. So as you can see in this Boolean, we are using it in this condition is old enough. If it's false here, if this, so as you can see in if statement, I'm checking if this condition is false, this part here will never be executed. It will go to the second part, as you can see. If this part is true, this part is being executed. So we are using the Boolean here to execute one part of our program. So either this one, or the if block, or the else block. One of those is going to be executed depending on this condition. And that should be simple as well, because we've taken some examples, should be simple. We've seen numbers, same idea. I mean, numbers is not really something biggie. Yeah, as you can see, different example of number. Just a small note here. Again, if I say 20, this is not a number. This is string, huh? This is not a number. Although it looked like a stringy number, but that's not a number, it's string. That's a number, 20 is a number. And as you can see, even in the console, the color is different. When it's number here, it's different color, and when it's stringy, it's different color. So be careful with that. That should be okay. Null, we've just discussed null here. I told you null is a data type, or null is a type of null here. Of course, it's an object, as we discussed. As a difference between null and undefined is asked in many interviews. The difference between the two, they both have the same value. Null and undefined is basically the same value, but they have different data type. The data type of null is an object, and for undefined, it is undefined. It should be simple as well. And undefined, as you know, any variable I declare without giving it a value, it will be undefined. And here it also is a difference between null and undefined. Both have the same value, but they are different type, as you can see. Trace table. So I'm going to show you how to use this trace table, and after that, you can do your exercises. So that's the example. What you need to do, you need to go to your exercises. And in these exercises here, if I click on two variables, notice what should I do? So two variables in each exercise, you can predict what trace bottom will log in the console. So what do I mean by that? Let's go to inspect. So what does trace mean? Trace mean to trace my variable. You say, for example, at line 14, I'm declaring a variable x, and I'm assigning here. I'm initializing this variable to the value beta. Okay, that's fine. At line 18, what I'm doing with the variable x? I'm reading the variable x. I'm just taking the value, but I'm not just reading the value of x. What also I am doing at line 8?
I change the y for hello, and then I add it to Peter.
No,
So
because
hello Peter.
no. Here I'm declaring a new variable y. I did not have y until this point. At line 18, I'm initializing or I'm declaring a new variable y, and I'm giving it the value hello plus the value of x. I'm reading the value of x. At line 20, what I am doing?
Print.
I'm reading the value.
Y.
Yes, I'm reading the value of y. At line 22, what I am doing? I'm doing two things. I'm reading the value of x, and I'm reassigning the value of y. Because the value of y, I am changing it here, as you can see, so I'm reassigning. At line 24, what I am doing? It's simple. What I'm doing at line 24?
Variable for y.
I'm reading the value of the variable y. So if I click on trace, notice what's happening. So it will explain everything in my program. It's saying at line 14, voila, if I go to 14, I'm declaring a variable x. And also I am initializing the value x. Initializing, that means I'm giving it a value. I'm initializing the value x to the value or to the string beta. Then at line 18, what I am doing here, notice, at line 18, I am reading the value of x. That's true, I'm reading the value of x. Then here, what I am doing, I'm using the operator here. The operator here, it's plus or concatenation. I'm trying to concatenate hello with x. But that's not the only thing I'm doing at line 18. I'm also declaring a new variable at line 18. I'm initializing this variable to the value hello space beta, as you can see, and I'm giving the value here. Okay, what I'm doing at line 20, where at line 20, as you can see, I'm reading the value of the variable y, what is the value? Hello, Peter, as you can see. And voila, that's what we call trace variables. Is the idea clear? So trace variable, just to trace this variable, see how it's changing. Where I'm declaring the variable, where I'm initializing the variable, where at which line I'm reading the variable, at which line I am reassigning the variable, and so on and so on and so on. So if you click, what you need to do first, you need to put your prediction here, and after that you can click trace, and then after that you can compare your trace with this one, not the opposite here. So what you need to do here, you need to trace your variable, and after that you can log this one and see if everything is correct or not. Is the idea clear?
Yes.
Good. So now we know what trace is doing. Okay, what the hell is the highlight? So if I click on highlight, notice it will open. So highlight, it will open my code and it's just like a board. And what's good about this one here, when I'm trying to explain some code or something, and now I can use different color to make it really easy to explain to anyone what I am doing. So here, just like a canvas, you can draw with it. You can, when you multiple friends, you're trying to explain something, it will be easy to use different color here to explain. That's simply what is the highlight is doing here. Okay, that's fine. But what is variable is doing here? Do not worry about all this button because we learn them one by one. So highlight, as I told you, just a board allow you to explain a little bit more. That's fine. Trace, we've seen it. I try to trace all my variable, as you can see. And voila, if I want to click on run, of course, it will run my program, as you can see. That should be fine. If I want to open my code in GStutor here to have better look, to go line by line, I can click on this one, just open with. And I can now go, as you can see, line by line. And notice all my variable is being stored in the stack here because all of them are primitive data type, as you can see. That's fine. What is the variable then? Well, if I click on the variables, that's quite nice. Why? Because here I have declaration. If I hover over declaration, so if I hover over the variable, see the color of the variable is changed. Can anyone tell me what that mean? So what this color mean? X, what does the color mean?
It's
Just look here.
variable empty.
No,
when
it's just the
for
declaration.
declaration.
Yeah, it show you, so it make it easy for you to trace the variables. That means the variable is being declared. Here is the red one. What does it mean? That means I'm reading the variable here. The green one here is mean assign or reassign. So I'm just giving it value either the first time or all the other time. So if I hover over it, as you can see, I'm not giving any value here. It doesn't show anything because I'm not changing Y. Yes. So as you can see here, what's happening here, Y has one value. Now I am reassigning the variable here to goodbye. And that's the reason why I have this color. And read, of course, just I'm reading the variable here. Like X, if I log X or I do something here, it will show me that I am reading the variable simply like that. Read. So what this tab is going to do, it will make it really easy for me to know where is my variables being declared, where is my variables being read, where is my variable being assigned or reassigned. Assign or reassign the same. That means I'm just giving it a new value. Yeah, simply like that. And delete also, but we don't delete our variable. At least in JavaScript, currently we don't delete them now. We have something called garbage collector, and garbage collector in JavaScript running all the time. So if you are not using a variable here anymore, if you make its value null, after that, the garbage collector is gonna get rid of your variable automatically. I mean, in JavaScript, it's really simple. In other programming languages, it's not the same. Okay, do we know now what variable is doing? Yes. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. So we have highlight, personalize, not now, or explain it later. Flow chart, I don't think it's working. But anyway, variable, it's important for you now to know what's variable. Blanks. If I click on blanks, what's happening here, that's my code. And here, what I can do, I can choose identifier. That means the name of the variable. So here, X is the identifier. Identifiers just simply means the name of the variable. The keyword, for example, let, cons, those are keyword. Operator, for example, plus, minus, that's what you call operator. Primitive data type. Now what I can do here, if I move this one here, notice what's going to use my code. So it makes some blank for me, and now I can practice writing my code. So what I can do here now, I can come here and replace it with X. And if everything is okay, it will not give me any error. But if everything is not okay, as you can see, it shows me that there is something wrong here, as you can see, because that shouldn't be Y, actually it should be X. So this one is quite interesting. Why? It's just like a game. It helps you to make some blank in your code. It will be very useful later on when we have some code and you make some blank, and after that you try to fill it. It will help you just to understand better your code. Is the idea clear?
Yes.
Do we know now what blanks? Trace, that's okay. For now, I'm just gonna explain table, and that should be enough for you today. So what is table? Well, table, as you can see, if I click on this one, it will give me this one, line, name, action, value. So here, it helped me just to trace my variable. For example, what's the line here? At line 14, what's going on at line 14? Well, what's the name of my variable? I'm declaring a variable, it's X. What is the action? Am I declaring the variable, or I'm declaring and initializing? That means I'm giving the value. Am I reading? Am I assigning? Of course, I'm declaring and initializing the variable. What was the value at this time? Well, it's beta. So I can just copy this one and add my string beta like that, because it's a string, actually. Voila. Now here I can add a new row. And now here I can, what's the line was here? It was 14. After 14 here at line 18, what I'm doing at line 18? Well, I have first X. What I'm doing with X, I'm reading the value of X, right? So I'm gonna click on this one, I'm reading. What is the value? Still beta, it's the same, never changed. So I can just copy it and paste it this way. I can add a new table here the same way at line 18. What I'm doing, well, I have Y. okay, why? What I'm doing here at line 18? Well, what I'm doing here, I'm declaring and initializing, because I'm declaring a variable here and I give it a value. So what is the current value? Well, it will be hello space beta, because the value of x is beta. So all I have to do, I can just say, copy this one, and I can just say hello, because that's a value, space beta, and voila. And that is the table used for that, just to trace our variables. That's how we trace our variable. Yes?
Yes.
You cannot save this one here. What you can do here, you can just write everything, and after that, click on trace, and then compare now both of your code and this one to make sure everything is correct. After that, you don't need to save this one. That's fine. For now, I think everything should be okay. You don't need a lot of stuff here. If you click on this option, you will have more option. Sometimes it could be interesting to click the debug as well. So if you hover over the debug, now you can debug your code if that's what you want to. I mean, debugging is really interesting here. It will be a good idea to go through your code line by line, and so you know what's going on. We'll be studying debugging actually in maybe after 2 days. So debugging is very important concept in programming. You need to know how to debug your code. Other than that, you will not be able to do anything. If you don't know how to debug your code, you don't know anything. That should be fine. Now, what do you need to do? Well, in the exercise here, you just need to write some comment here, as you can see. So you will come here at, what are you doing here at line 14? What are you doing here? Well, I'm declare a variable. What is the name of variable? X. And am I initializing it or not?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I will type here, initialize X. Initialize is correct, initialize X. To the value. What is the value? It's beta. Voila. And that's simply my job here. Voila. And here's the same idea. You go to Y, you say read the value of X. Read X. Then you will go here, declare Y. And we are initializing Y as well, right? So we say initialize. Initialize is not correct, by the way, but initialize Y to the value. And the value, of course, it will be hello. I don't know, let's go back. The value here, it will be hello space beta. And that will be your job here. So you need to write comment like that, and you need to go through all your code here on all these examples. Of course, we have multiple examples. 2 variable, 4 variable, blah, blah, blah. Swap value here. It's quite important. Actually, I need to explain this one for you now. Conditional statement. I mean, that should be okay. The while loop, you don't have to do it now because I did not explain the while loop yet. You can go through it, it's fine. You can do that, but I need to explain the conditional statement and while loop. So if you want, you can go through this example, but they are not mandatory for now because I need to explain yet the condition and while loop. Of course, now here in this 2, now we need to write your own example. So if I click on this one, as you can see, it's empty. Now you can create a few more string and give them the value you want. So you need here to declare and initialize, read, and reassign few string here. Same for number, boolean, null, and undefined. So you need to write your own example. And so you need to do the exercises here, and also you need to do your own example here. That will be your job for today. But remember something. The first step here, always you need to go to your repo or click in this one, go to home. What is my home? I will go to my repo here, which is welcome to JS. You need to fork your repo. Please do not clone this one because after that, you need to redo the job, all of it again. It will not work. You need to fork this repo. You need to have your own fork because when you have your own fork, then you can push your code. Other than that, you cannot push your code. That should be simple. There is one concept here I just want you to understand before I give you. So your job, you need to go through the example again, read them. You have all the time, read them, all of them. If you have any question, you can ask me. And you need to do the exercise. It's just tracing variable as I show you. And then here, you need to write your own example for all 5 different primitive data types. That should be simple. But now what I need to explain a little bit is swap value. So swap value, we have something simple here I need to explain. So what is swap value? Let me click in here and let me get rid of this one for now. And I need to explain swap value. Swap value, it's a very important concept in programming. I just need 5 minutes, that's okay. So what is swap value? Well, let's say I have 2 glasses here. So I have a glass of milk. And of course, I have milk inside it. And I have another glass of coffee. So now you're with me, right? All of you with me? Great.
Yes.
Now, what
Yeah.
if I told you, okay, I want you to put the coffee in this glass and I want you to put the milk in this glass. That's what it means swap. Swap just means exchange the position here. So what will be your solution here? If I ask you to put the coffee here and to put the milk here, so what will be your solution? Yes?
To put the milk in coffee.
It's not possible because I have milk here. If I just put the milk inside the coffee, I mean, I have all of that, it's full of milk, and all of that is full of coffee. It doesn't work this way. That's not what I want to. What I want to put the milk inside this glass here, and I want to put the coffee inside this glass here without losing any of them, and without allow them to merge as well. So what will be the solution?
So you
Another-
need a third glass so you can empty it and swap it like that.
Well, the simplest solution is I need just another glass. So what I can do here, I can just add an empty glass. That's my new glass here. Now this glass is empty, so I can either put the coffee or the milk here. It's fine. So let's put the coffee here. If I put the coffee here now, what will happen to this glass? It will become empty, right?
Empty.
So now this one is empty. Voila. Now I can put my milk here. So now I will put my milk here. Voila. The first milk is now here. Now, after I replace the milk, I don't have anyone. This one it become empty. Now what I can do, I can just bring my coffee. Voila, put it here. And that's the easiest solution. So in order to do this swapping, I will just need another glass or another box. And as you can imagine, it's the same concept for variables. So I told you the variable are boxes. So here in this variable, I have the value of x. So let me redo it again. Let's get rid of some of those. Let's do this one. Let's do this one here. So in this box here, actually, let's get rid of all of that and let's try to understand swapping. So I have a variable here, and this variable x, it's just a box. And I have this variable y, it's just another box. How can I swap the value? So I make this one x, the value here x, and the value here y. Well, I cannot do anything. I need a third container, a third variable. And now, in this variable, now I can assign the value of y. I can put it inside this box, and now this variable, it will be empty. So I can now bring the value of x inside it. And then here I can move the value of y inside this one. That's simply what we call swapping variables. Is the idea clear?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
let's try to do some swapping. Let's go to our here. Voila. So what I'm going to do here, I just say let x is equal to 10. Let y is equal to 5. And now my job here to swap these both value. That means at the end, x must be 5 and y must be 10. So what I can do, well, I can declare a new variable and I can just say let temp for temporary variable. And now here in my temporary variable, I can store either one value of those, either store x or y. So let's store x. Now when I say temp is equal to x, that means the value of temp is how much now?
10.
10, indeed. So now this one, it will be 10. Now I have the value of x. Now that means the value of x here or the container of X is empty, now I can store the value of Y inside X. So I can just say X, it's equal to Y. Of course, now when I say that, that means now the value of X, how much it will be?
5.
5 indeed. 5. Now what I need to do here, I just need now to change the value of Y. So I can just say Y, it's equal to how much? I want Y to be 10. Where is this value 10? It's where it's stored?
10.
Inside temp variable and wala temp. And now here, if I log both of them, so let's try to log. Here I don't have console.log, unfortunately. So now here, if I log X and I log Y, let me just copy it. Now, as you see now, the value of X, it will be 5. And the value, as you can see, X is 5 and Y, it will be 10. To make it actually more easy, so I'll just type X here like that, and I can type Y here for you. Well, now let's add comma. As you know, in console.log, you can have multiple values separated by comma. I just did this one to make it clear. So X is 5 now, although X starts with 10, and Y is 10, although it started with 5. That's what we call swapping variable. It just means changing the value of the variable. So this value was 10. After my program here, after the swapping, now it will become 5. This one was 5, and after swap the value, now it will become 10. This swapping variable is clear. Yes or no? And
Yes.
that's simply what they are doing. T for temp here. So that should be simple. Okay, now what you need to do, you need to clone your own, fork is a repo, clone your repo and go through the example, do the exercises, and also write your examples. They should be clear by now. Of course, you need to create a new branch. So the first step here, when you go to your repo, you need to install the dependency, npm I, to install all the dependency, and then you can create a branch, name it, for example, name it trace variable. And then now you can write all your exercises and write your code inside it. And when you are done, you can need to add your code and push your code and then merge it to the main. I will check your code later. So you need to do that, okay? Clear?
Yeah, and how do you run your repo? Because you remember it's not live server, is it?
No.